All right, well, we are live on YouTube for the very first time. Um, Obviously, I'm not going to get an audience like I would on like TikTok or one of those. Not as fast as anyway. I'm going to try to share this out to some of my friends. Try to get some of y'all in here. Other than that, we are not only going to be uh, doing my organizing my bookshelf here, we are also going to be doing kind of an impromptu uh, review of "I Don't Recognize This World Anymore" by Christopher Triana. Now, unfortunately, I do not have a copy to actually like hold up like I usually do with my books on here and stuff. Um, but I will still be talking about it. I didn't take notes for it either, like I usually do. I read it online, so well, Kindle or one of those. But yeah, so we'll be talking about that a little bit today. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get this sent out. Send that there. Send it to a couple people on TikTok as well, and then we'll get started. Ah. All right. Sent this out to a few people and in my Discord. So yeah, we will talk first, kind of a little bit about the book. Bonus review time. So I don't think I've ever joined a YouTube live stream in my life, dude. I don't either. This is my very first time, like actually doing a YouTube live or even really seeing it. Like when I went to share it out, I shared it from another account so I could get the link and everything. But yeah, that was kind of odd to see. But yeah, so I don't recognize this world anymore. The main character, his name was Liam. I cannot remember his last name, but he is a divorced prison CO at the world's most dangerous female prison. And yeah, it was a wild book, man. It really fucking was. It tackles corruption of all sorts, not only corrupt guards, but there's also like corrupt prisoners. Um, well, I mean, obviously, you're not in a prison if you're not corrupt in some way, right? But yeah, some of the inmates in this story were like some of the most terrifying characters in fiction. Like, what was that one girl's name? Sally. It's Sally something, but she has like devil horn tattoos and shit like that. Crazy shit. But so that I usually I have like not a loose script when I kind of go into these things. I've written down like chapter by chapter what I remember happens. So I'll just kind of jump right in. But we'll do before I do that, I'll show y'all the actual shelf. This is what we're gonna try to organize today. I'm putting some overflow into some bins right there, and it's kind of cool. I can move this little camera around. I'm using a one of those little Logitech cameras. But yeah, so not only is it like talking about Liam and his corrupt like I'm I'm trying to think how to word this. Like I've said like so many fucking times already, dude. Finding words like on the spot like this is different than actually going to film one of these. But so it's a love story too at the same time. It's one of those like spicy books. So basically, divorced guy, he joins like this CO for this private, or as a CO for like a private prison. And what's up, Keyblade? But yeah, so he joins as a CO for like a private prison, and you automatically start to learn how different a private prison is from a public prison. And I completely get it. Don't even worry about anything complex, wording anything in some complex way. I'm not even trying to word it in a complex way. I'm trying to like actually think of how to like talk about it, if that makes sense. Um, but so he joins as a CO at this prison, and keep in mind he's coming from retail and like just a normal dude background. He has no like law enforcement, no veteran status, anything like that. He's just a normal dude. And so he joins this prison, like prison CO team, and you kind of get a grasp on that this man is not mentally well on his first couple of days. Like he talks about pretty early on how the reason he left his previous job and the reason that his wife left him had something to do with a mental breakdown. It doesn't really ever go into detail about the mental breakdown. It kind of gives a reasoning later on, but like, yeah. So talks in the beginning about having like a mental breakdown, and his first day on the job, he talks about how all of these women in this prison and stuff like that are like murderers and extortionists and gang members and racketeers, like bad people. And so he talks about how much he enjoys being catcalled and how it never goes like the other way. And so that's like your first glimpse that some bad shit is gonna happen at some point. He talks about this prisoner a lot, Lily Gutierrez, and he says some not great stuff about Lily Gutierrez. And who is the other one? His first day on the heavier security. So there was minimum security, which was Sparrow. The higher security was Raven. No, the highest security was Raven. And there was one in the middle that I can't remember. I might have that backwards, but he was on Sparrow, which is like the low security one. And this girl like offers to like sell dope with him and stuff like that. Like, hey, if you bring stuff into the prison, I'll give you 40% or whatever she said. It's foreshadowing because he eventually does become corrupt. And I'll end up jumping the gun if I talk too much about that right now, but it just kind of goes on normal for like a little while, and he's just working as a CO, and then he meets this girl named Zoe. And one thing I forgot to mention, so this is how Zoe's able to get in his head and like kind of convince him to do what they eventually do. So Zoe, so Liam, the main guy, he has a dog who has cancer, and you find that out in, I want to say that was chapter 8 or chapter 9, somewhere around that mark. So like pretty early on, you find out that his dog, who is like his only friend at this point, has cancer. And so he starts doing all this bad shit to pay for that. He needs $8,000 and he has no money. And so he starts doing this. Well, Zoe, like, he's walking her down to like the work release unit or whatever, like where they can work in a factory for like 20 cents on the dollar, something like that. And so he walks her down there, and she's like, "You look so sad. What, did your dog die?" or something like that. And like she kind of they have like this warm, gentle moment, but you can tell as the reader, Liam couldn't because he was like emotionally blinded, but you can tell as the reader that something was not quite right about this, that something feels a little fishy and a little off. And I want to say a chapter or so after that, he's talking with somebody and he's like, there's no room for friends. It's one of the other guards. And he's like, there's no room for friends in here. Pull these women's files. They've done some awful stuff. Well, Liam refuses to pull Zoe's file, but yeah, there's like some stuff that it talks about that I can't really even talk about on here. Like, I don't want what happened on TikTok to happen over here, so I'm not going to mention it. But when they're talking about pulling files, and he pulled files on a couple of the girls and finds out like one of them killed her husband. One of them was like a hardcore gang. I think it was Lily Gutierrez was a hardcore like gang member and stuff like that. And I think that actually happens later. I don't think he pulls the files like at the point where I'm talking about. But so I'm trying to think what happens. So Zoe basically kind of talks to Liam and she says, hey, a bottle of alcohol in here goes for, $1,000 or, some crazy amount. And so he starts bringing in alcohol and bringing in cigarettes. And that's like, it's not good, but it's like normal ish, like in comparison to what happens later. Well, he's bringing this in. And then she's like, Zoe approaches him like, yeah, we're making bank. My brother can get us K2, which if you don't know what K2 is, it's like synthetic marijuana, and it's like a spray, and it's like sprayed on like potpourri or, something combustible. And sometimes it's just straight up sprayed on paper, but basically it's scentless and all that. And so he starts bringing that shit in, and that's where you meet Dennis, my favorite character of this entire book. Dennis is fucking hilarious. I've said I'm gonna clean my shelf. I'm gonna start cleaning my shelf as I'm talking about this. I'll kind of show off some of the stuff that's on it too as I'm doing that. But so you meet Dennis. Dennis is a gay man who is just absolutely fucking unhinged. Like, just so crazy. So he makes Liam, this big buff dude, go meet him at a gay bar to make stuff like that, which is already just like kind of funny because Liam is very clearly uncomfortable. And Dennis, on the first meet, like buys him a beer and stuff like that. And like, when they're talking, you can just tell something ain't quite right with this guy, but you don't realize how bad it's going to get yet. Like, I knew he was going to be unhinged just because, like, I read the back of the book, but like, there is so much with Dennis, dude. Dennis is like such a well-written character. Christopher Triana is a great writer. Real quick before I put it in here are some manga. I may be selling these at some point. I don't know, but I got the first 2 Soul Eaters. I got some Naruto 3-in-1s, and the first D Gray Man. I'm possibly going to be listing these at some points, but comics are not my specialty. I don't know how well I'd be able to move them. But so we meet. So they meet. Dennis hands him the stuff, and they figure out how they're going to get paid and all that. And so Liam starts bringing the stuff into prison, and you start to get like a sense of like how lax the security is here. Like it. Enjoy those. Wait, those are cool. I don't enjoy those much either. I have first and second My Hero Academia books. Hell yeah. I never watched My Hero Academia. When I need to take a drink, guys, I can do something that I could not do over on the other platform. I can just close the camera off like that. Hell yeah. Right before I got on here, guys, I accidentally posted a picture on my TikTok without my mask on. I caught it right away. But yeah, for like a whole minute and a half, there was a picture of me without my mask on sitting on my page. I didn't mean to do that. I took the picture. It was one of those like take the picture and see what sound TikTok gives you. And I was just curious. I was like, I wonder what it would say. And yeah, I just had a picture of me with this like cringe what would you call that? Like the alpha guy, fucking sound playing in the background. It was hilarious. But yeah, had that up for like a whole minute and a half and didn't catch it right away. I thought it was still in my drafts, but it wasn't. I went to delete it and accidentally hit post. I got more manga. I have the whole, well, not the whole, but most of the Dead Man Wonderland series right here. And 2 of the Full Metal Alchemist books. The 3-in-1s. I think my heart would have skipped a few beats if that happened to me. Dude, it was, I was freaking the fuck out when I saw that it was like in my posts and had already been viewed and stuff like that. I was like, some of these fuckers know what I look like. I can't stand having to read the books backwards. Yeah, me neither. That's like half the reason I don't really read them much. Okay, so where were we? Dennis, the first meet. So yes, it starts to talk about how lax the like the security standards in this prison are. Norrington was the name of the prison. Not really necessarily important. You could get a whole grasp on the story not having known that, but that's what the prison is called. And you first learn that a metal detector is inactive, like completely defective. And I can't stand having to read the books backwards. Okay, yeah, I already read that. One of the metal, like the main metal detector is broken. Like he tries to walk in, and the guard is just like, "Oh yeah, come on through." It goes off on its own all the time and stuff like that. So he just kind of waves him on through, and so that's like your first glimpse at it, and then you find out there's a bunch of dead zones in the cameras and stuff like that. Like a bunch of places where there just is no camera. There's an elevator without a camera, and some other stuff that Liam talks about. And he gets alerted on, I believe, by the drug dog. Like I think the drug dog alerts on him. No, it doesn't. He has it like vacuum sealed and zip, like and taped to his legs and stuff like that. So the dog doesn't alert on him, but the metal detector goes off on him, and yeah, just crazy shit. So he sneaks the K2 in, and it just progressively gets worse. Like as far as like quality of life there, and then eventually Liam is asked by Dennis to go along with him somewhere, and Liam has no idea what's going on. So Dennis takes him to a hotel and has him help buy fentanyl patches. They were supposed to be buying fentanyl lollipops, that is a real thing. Fentanyl lollipops are definitely a real thing. They're banned in a lot of places, but when I was in rehab, a lot of people were talking about using those. So I know for a fact they are a real thing. But so he takes him along to this fentanyl deal, and it all goes off without a hitch. But they're like, Liam is just really, really struggling to figure out how he's going to get the fentanyl into Norrington and stuff like that. And so while he's like, while he's trying to, contemplate how to do that, he has to guard yard duty. And he's talking to Zoe and he's like, I can't figure out how I'm going to get this shit in here. Like, there's dogs that sniff my car before I drive into the parking lot. There's another dog at the door. What do I do? Well, then while he's out on the yard, there's a dead bird and Zoe has to clean it up or whatever. And he's like, that's it. That's how I'm going to do it. So on his very next off day, he takes a 22, like a little, I say a 22. It's not a 22. I forgot it. It said he bought a pellet gun to do this. And he kills a raven with a pellet gun, cuts the raven open, stuffs it with fentanyl patches, and sews the raven back up and throws it over the gate. Like, and then the next day on yard duty has Zoe go pick up the raven. Love FMA. Yeah, I have the first two, the 3-in-1 editions. I don't have any. I think I actually have number 10. For some reason, I have number 10 and not any of the others. Like as a single. But yeah, so He chucks the Raven over and then has her go get it the next day. And then Norrington is flooded with fentanyl after that. And everybody's wanting a taste. And eventually the first overdose happens. It was a girl who was on suicide watch already. And she got a hold of like 6 patches and puts all of them on. And she dies. So then the internal affairs, or like whatever you would call it, the prison system investigators, they're kind of onto him. Not like onto Liam, just onto the prison. They're really, really like checking everything, and like a full scale investigation is launched. And excuse me. So Liam, he's like, I'm not sneaking any more of this shit in for a while. You know, this just happened and we're almost out anyway. Like, this isn't good. So a little bit of time passes, and so Zoe, her nickname, I forgot to mention this too. Her nickname was CVS Susie. That's what everybody was calling her. And then this one girl is like, I need access to the CVS, man. I need CVS Susie to get along with me. How do I do it? Like, how do I get her to like me? I don't think she likes me very much and all this. So this lady says that to Liam. Her name was, I think it was Nora something, I want to say. But she was like, I need CVS Susie to like me. And then you find out Nora, we're going to call her Nora. That may not be her actual name. It's been 2 or 3 months since I read this. But so she you find out she used to be addicted to heroin, or like still kind of is. And so apparently they were kind of keeping a closer eye, because Zoe, like pretty shortly after this conversation, says, hey, somebody snitched and I need you to bring me a knife. She tells Liam that. And so Liam sneaks a knife in. He like leaves it in the gate or something like that, and then has her get it on yard duty, kind of the same as he does with the Ravens. And so leaves the knife, and Zoe picks it up and she says, I'm taking care of our snitch problem. And at this point, you're led to believe, okay, Nora is about to die, like 100%. But Liam is like, I will only bring you this knife if you just agree to scare her. You cannot kill her. Well, Zoe was being housed on Sparrow, which is the minimum security unit, and Liam was scheduled to work Raven. Well, then they get an all units respond call, and somebody is unrecognizable in Nora's cell, like just fucking blood everywhere. You can barely even recognize that it's a body. She's been stabbed and slashed so many times. Well, then he goes around the corner to pull whoever is doing the stabbing off of Nora. Turns out it was not Nora getting stabbed at all. Nora had killed her cellmate, and you find out that the cellmate was going to snitch because the girl who overdosed was Nora's cellmate's best friend. Like, wild shit, dude. That one threw me through a loop. Like, when the big reveal happened for that, dude, I was fucking, man, that such a good book, dude. Such a good book. But so yeah, you find out that it's her that got stabbed instead, and Liam is like racked with guilt at this point, because he's like, I brought in the weapon that made this happen. Like, you know, he kind of goes through that, and he tries to cut ties with Zoe, but Zoe's like, no, I'll rat on you. And at this point, Liam and Zoe have already they've done the horizontal monster mash in the elevator with no cameras a couple of times. And so she has a pair of panties with his DNA in it. And she says, I'll tell them that you did stuff to me, and I'm an inmate. I can't legally consent. So, you know, now he's got that hanging over him. He doesn't want to do any of this shit anymore, but he cannot get out at this point. They're going to blackmail him not only with what he's been doing, but what happened with her as well. And so, dark, fucked up situation. And then he's feeling hopeless. And then Dennis calls him again. And he's like, hey, I got a lead on some fentanyl patches. You're almost out and we need more. And he's really saying, I don't want to do this. And so he eventually agrees. And Dennis comes and picks him up in a stolen car. And they go to do another fentanyl deal. Well, this time, I'm going to leave you all in suspense for just a second. I'm getting my nicotine pouches. Okay, so this time they're not dealing with the last group of people that sold him the fentanyl patches and stuff. This is a different group of people that Dennis doesn't know and Liam doesn't know, so nobody knows who this is. And the excuse me. So they go up to the store on an Indian reservation, and they go to the back of it, and there's like these cowboy dudes waiting in the back. And so they talk to the cowboy dudes, and it turns out that they were not selling them fentanyl patches at all. They were menthol, like Vicks patches, like like the cough and cold ones, like the ones that make you like sneeze less, or make your nose run, make you sneeze less, like those kind of patches. And so they find that out, and they're like, holy shit, we just got ripped off. No, this ain't gonna fly. And then somebody, like one of the cowboy guys, pulls out a gun and fires a warning shot. And then Liam pulls out his gun, and they're shoot out in the back of this store. They so Liam and Dennis, they take off, they run. Liam, before they took off running, he's like, we're gonna die. And he deploys tear gas that he had from his CO stuff. It wasn't tear gas, it was a bear mace. So he bear maced one of them, and that guy just starts blindly firing, and that's how they were able to get out. So they run back to the car, and Dennis just fucking takes off. He's flying, and Liam is like, watching the back and stuff like that. Well, eventually the cowboy guys, they pull up in a Jeep, and they're right behind him. They're gaining on him. And so Liam, tries to kind of start shooting and stuff. But then Dennis runs into this old lady's Cadillac and just totals the car that they're in, the stolen car they're in. And so trying to think what happened next, like exactly. So Liam and Dennis, they go get in the old lady's car because it's not totaled. It's damaged, but it's not totaled. And so they get in and start driving. Well, it turns out Dennis has closed the old lady who was driving that car. Like somehow her arm was still stuck in the seatbelt. And so Liam doesn't notice at first, but they are dragging this old lady like down the road while they're being shot at by these guys and everything. And her arm like ends up ripped off and just hanging on the door or whatever. Brutal scene. Very, very brutal shit. Like, looked to be gory, actually. Like, I got about halfway through and I was like, yeah, they're pushing some boundaries and it's getting a little heavy and depressing, but it's not gory other than the stabbing scene. But no, it turned like full on gory at that point. And they figure out, like, Dennis and Liam, they're like, we got to get rid of this car. And like, they're freaking out and stuff. So they take it to a junkyard. This is the grossest, but kind of the funniest part of this entire book. They get to and there's a junkyard dog there. And Liam is like, Dennis is wanting to kill the dog, and Liam's like, no, you're not killing this dog. If you kill this dog, I'm walking away, all that. And so Liam goes to the trunk of the car. So remember the old lady, her arm got ripped off. Well, apparently they just threw it in the trunk, and when they were going to get rid of the whole car, they were going to like destroy it at this junkyard, and they left the lady's arm in there. Liam throws this dog the old lady's arm, or like pieces of the old lady's arm, to keep him distracted. And like it was fucked. It was like kind of funny in that dark way. Like, it's like, this is really disgusting and I feel horrible, like not necessarily enjoying it, but I feel horrible. But yeah, so that happens, and then they get more. Well, they don't have any more fentanyl patches, and Zoe, CVS Susie, she's like, "You need to get me more fentanyl. Everybody's asking about it. Like, we need more of it." And so, Liam sets up a deal with the original dealers. Shortly after this happens, for some reason, oh wait, no, I skipped something. So Dennis sets up a deal with the original dealers, and he's like, "Hey, our friends, they have something else," and Liam doesn't even want to go, but he's reluctantly does. And the girl who was working the front counter at the store that got shot up and all that, she was there at this meeting, but she was like really, really high, and Liam thinks, okay, she doesn't recognize us. That's good. And she eventually reveals, hey, I know who you are. I remember that. And those cowboys that were in the back of our store, my family's owned that store for generations. So we took them out back and shot them. So those guys who they were worried about this whole time are dead. And so that girl tells him that, and a drug deal goes down between Dennis and this other guy. And Liam ends up with the dealer's number as well. So he can kind of, link up with them. Well, Dennis and Liam get back to the car. He was like, "What do you have there? Is it more fentanyl patches?" And he was like, "This, my friend, is crack. We have a whole bag of crack." Like, so he has this, and he's like, "I'm not sneaking crack into a prison. It's one thing to get fentanyl patches in there. They're discreet, and most of the girls swallow them when they're done, so we can they're easily disposed of. This is crack." And so they have a back and forth about that for a while. And it's a little bit fuzzy here because I read all that I've talked about to this point on one day, and then I finished it the next day. So it's a little hazy right here, but eventually Liam like gets Dennis. Like, I'm trying to think, because there is a good chunk that I'm skipping. But again, as I always encourage y'all to do, just read the book, man. Like, I've spoiled a lot, but read the damn book, dude. It's so good. I don't do it justice here. Trying to think. Somehow they end up having like a falling out, Dennis and Liam do. And Liam ends up shooting Dennis, and he's like, "My last obstacle is Zoe. I need to get rid of Zoe." And he goes up to Lily Gutierrez, who is, one of the prisoners I mentioned at the beginning, who was like gang affiliated. And he's like, "Hey, I need you to take care of Zoe for me." And she says no at first. And he was like, "I'll give you a big bag of crack if you kill this lady for me," basically. And so eventually, like, he's able to convince her to go talk to her gang leader, and they arrange a deal, and Zoe ends up killed. Now there is a big plot point I'm leaving out. I'm not going to talk about it at all here, but there is a twist at the end, and I haven't even mentioned the character that it involves. I would highly recommend it, but that was kind of the story of I don't recognize this world anymore. I give it a 5 out of 5, especially because of the twist that I am not talking about. But yeah, highly recommend you guys go read that. I'm going to get back to organizing this bookshelf now. I started and just didn't do anything with it. I'll kind of turn the camera into it a little bit. Thank you for the claps. I appreciate it. All right. So most of this is product. Not all of it is. These right here are not listed yet, but these are like some cheesy romance books that your grandma would read. These ones are worth a bit more than the ones that I have in that bucket over there. I'm putting them in here to just keep them out of the way. This one looks like some shit a Southern grandma would be reading, like from a rocking chair. And this one, I'm convinced every grandmother in the world owns a copy of this one. And I'm convinced that every nerdy mom owns this one. And then a fun story about this one. So I pull all of my, like, pretty much half of the inventory that I have is off of one list. It is K the Butcher Shitter's Disturbing Novels Iceberg from Reddit. And it's good up until, I want to say 2021 or 2022. That's where a lot of like the stuff that I have comes from. Like I got recommended it off that list. There's a book on there called Headhunter Reimagined. I thought that I was buying the right one. I bought 3 copies of this book, and it's not even the right one. This is a different author and a different book entirely. So I have 3 copies of this. None of them are listed. I gave one of them to my mom because I was like, this seems like something you may enjoy because it's cop versus killer, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, the one that I was looking for, I can't even remember the author off rip right now, but it was not that guy. This is weird. I can't like go off camera like I can with my phone. This has such a wide range. It's dark. It's dark in here now. Oh man. I just did a whole fucking like 30-minute rant about a book. I'm out of breath. It's fucking hot over in this corner, dude. Let's see. That book that I just did a 30-minute rant about, Blag HP. Blah? Is that just blah? I read that as Blag HP. This is by the same author that wrote that book that I just ranted about for fucking 30 minutes. And it is supposed to go up here. I don't know what it's doing all the way down there. I have 3 copies of it, actually. Never mind. I found the other one. I was going to say I have 3 copies and I can't find 2 of them right now. One of them is actually back behind my TV. It's my personal copy. And I read it not that long ago. I want to say a month ago. I reread it because I listened to it on audio the first time. I always like to read it too. More manga. I have Inuyasha, the big boy one. I think it's a 3-in-1 as well. It's definitely more than 1 volume in here though. And Soul Eater, the Perfect Edition. The lining is a little bit different. The first 2 One Piece and the first one of Bleach. I have One Piece number 3 as well. I don't know where it is right now. I think it's out in my garage. But I have number 3 signed by one of the English voice actors that was in the TV adaptation of that volume. He played like a chef. It wasn't Sanji, but he played like a side character. And he also played like a villain toward the end. But yeah, I met that guy. He was really nice. He was really cool. And I got it signed. I worked at a comic book shop at the time, so I got a free ticket to go into the show. Or not into the show, into the convention or whatever. I bought this book just because of the title. This is called The Haunted Vagina. It's a Bizarro book. It is by Carlton Mellick. And Carlton Mellick writes some pretty out there shit, dude. As you can probably gather from the name of that. He has another one called Sausagey Santa. Don't know what Sausagey Santa is about, but you can't see a title like Sausagey Santa and not buy it. This is what I did the second video that I ever did for YouTube. What could that book possibly be about? Which one? This is the second video I ever did on YouTube. The Nymphomaniacs of Big Top Island. I hated this book. It's very short. I finished it in like 2 days. I should have finished it in one, but it took me 2 just because I did not like it. But yeah, that one was, to me, not really well written. The story didn't make a whole lot of sense. It was spicy, but not good spicy. It was just spicy for the sake of being spicy. Wasn't a fan. Dude, this is one of the rarest things in my collection. I love this book. I read it on Kindle, so like it's rare to have a physical copy of it, but it's not really rare to have read it. But High Life by Matthew Stokoe. This is about a guy who he's like obsessed with being a star, and he moves to Hollywood, and he quickly starts to kind of realize, hey, my dreams aren't going to come true like I thought they would, and he marries a prostitute. She ends up murdered, and he ends up having to like investigate through the seedy underbelly of Hollywood. Really, really good stuff. I don't want to talk too much about that. It's on the dartboard over there. Eventually, I will do a video on it one of these days, but I got to land on it first. So hopefully soon. And we're not on TikTok, so she is probably not ever going to see this. But shout out to JD Christ. She is letting me sell some of her books. The Flashpoint or the the Dead Flash series. I almost said the Flashpoint series. All of these came in special edition. They all have like these green pages. The first one comes with some goodies. It's got like a bookmark, and one of the pictures that's hanging on my corkboard actually is from one of those editions, or from the first one. But she signed all of them as well. So that was very, very cool of her. But yeah, I am probably going to be carrying more of her books at some point. So link is in the description, by the way, to my store. We are very, very small still, but as more money comes in, inventory will grow. So Water, that comes into my lives on TikTok sometimes, he was my first customer. And this is what he bought. This is my personal copy of it, but this is The Cannibals of Candyland. Very fun time. I don't know where I'm going to put the Dead Flash series, actually. I don't have a lot of room on this shelf. That's the problem. I have one bookshelf and a lot of shit that needs to fit on it. Now, this book right here, I am a horror freak, okay? I love horror. Like, favorite genre. And I like really disturbing, fucked up shit. This one, I could not get through chapter 4. I made it to chapter 4 and I gave up. This book is like very, very well written, but horrible. It is just, oh my God, man. So that's The Big Head by Edward Lee. If you want to see what made a horror reviewer tap out, check that one out. This is another Carlton Mellick one. This one got me in trouble with TikTok too for just showing the cover. This is Ape Shit by Carlton Mellick. I showed the cover and got my live taken down. Or no, it didn't get taken down that time. It just got restricted for inappropriate stuff. I don't even remember what it said the reasoning was. But like I'm assuming it had something to do with like borderline nudity. Dude, this mask is fucking hot over here. I might end this kind of soon. This is funny enough, not my first time being in trouble with TikTok, but they only banned me for 3 days, so they're treating it like my first time for some reason. Oh. All right. We are actually almost done. It looks a lot messier than it actually ended up being. But of course, I'm going to have trouble fitting stuff in. So that's what she said. So I had 2 copies of this. I gave one of them to somebody as like a parting gift when I left where I used to live. But this is Kurt Cobain's notebooks. And it's pretty cool. It's not like retyped versions of stuff that he wrote. It is like document scanned actual like pages of his notebook. This thing's pretty sick. I've never gotten to actually like sit here and look through it. I do not have this listed yet, but we are going to be listing this. I'm creating a new tab on the site called Truly Terrifying, and that's going to be where I put like true crime stuff. That's crazy cool. What the hell? Hell yeah, dude, it is pretty sick. This is actually, it's going on the product shelf. For anybody who enjoys romance, I do have some romance books. I got a bulk deal on all of these, so I have a lot of Colleen Hoover. I have It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us, like the box set. They're still in the wrapper. I'll show those in a second. Y'all can't really see the shelf that I'm digging around on, but I don't want to fuck that camera up. Like it's pretty decent where it's sitting at. But yeah, I have, these are still like, I don't know how well you can tell, but they're still in the wrapper. And I have, like, I was showing off JD Chris books with like the airbrush pages and stuff like that. I do have some other romance stuff that has like decorated pages. From what I understand, a lot of people did not like this book, but I really like the way the pages look. And it's not my genre, so I haven't read it. I don't know if it's any good or not. More Colleen Hoover. This one's Verity. Now this one, I'm probably going to keep for if I hit the bullseye up there. I get an eye bleach week where I get to review just a not truly fucked up book, and one of them is probably going to be Verity. From what I understand, Hoover, who mostly writes romance, that is her take on like a horror book, and it may be a little bit fucked up, but it's not going to be something like Kin or, you know, Full Brutal or the one that I just talked about, which very easily could have been on that list, the Iceberg. If it was released like 5 years earlier, it probably would have been on that Iceberg, honestly. Probably only would have been tier 2 or tier 3 because it's not as fucked up as something like Living Dead Girl or, one of those. But this is like my all-time favorite book. This book was fucking awesome. It's called The Restraint of Beasts. Like, if I had to pick a favorite book, that's like picking your favorite child, you know. But if I had to pick a favorite, I would say Restraint of Beasts is definitely up there. Where are my other copies of it, though? I have more than one copy of this. And I don't know where they are. That's a problem. That is like actually a problem because I have 3 of them listed. Oh, fuck me. What did I do with them? Well, I may have to do some adjusting to my website. I bet they're all on the bottom shelf, and I can't fucking see the bottom shelf. Oh, yeah, it's on the bottom shelf. Okay. There's 1, 2. Okay, yeah. Good shit. I will put that one up there then. Just stack it on top for now. So if you know just the movie Fight Club, I would highly, highly recommend the book Fight Club. So like that movie is good, but this book is so fucking much better, dude. The book is so good. I do not know where I put the other ones though. Yeah, they're up here. Okay. So the reason this shelf ends up like messed up like this, I'll pull one off to talk about it, and like an idiot, I won't put it back where it goes. I'll just slap it down on there, and I'm like, yeah, good enough. So fun story. When I was in rehab for the first time, when I was 19, they were gonna burn a bunch of books, and I pulled this off a pile that they were gonna burn. And this was before I was into reading. I was like, dude, if y'all are burning all these, like, at least let me have one. I don't have anything to do around here. And so I did. I pulled that one, and y'all can't see it, but I'm yawning. But I pulled that one and a couple others by John Ringo, and there was a Stephen King book. I think it was The Stand. And what was the other one? There was another one. I think it was actually just another John Ringo book, but the most important one I pulled out of that stack was Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. At 19 years old, that is the very first book that I ever read for fun. Like that kickstarted a passion. That was such a good book, dude. It was a life-changing read, like entirely. That was so good. This one is awesome. I wouldn't say it's my favorite book, but I love the concept of this. So this book is called House of Leaves, and you may have heard of it. It's kind of like popular-ish on TikTok. So it's got a lot of just regular pages, right? Like wall of text, normal. And then as you go deeper, you're exploring a maze, and there are pages that look like this, where there's only a little bit and the rest of the page is blank. There's like pages that are laid out like this, and like this. There's one page you have to read in a square, and you have to figure out like what order you read it in. And pages like this where it's like ascending, you're going upstairs and stuff like that. It's a wild one though. That's House of Leaves by Mark Daniel Whiskey. However you pronounce this name. I butchered it. I'm sure I did. But yeah, that was like one of the coolest things I have in my collection. And Demons by Dostoevsky, which I have a special video planned for this. I did not put it on the dartboard intentionally, but it is on the iceberg. Dude, this is so. If you like horror, you have more than likely heard of Trick or Treat, that Halloween-based anthology series, or not series, that Halloween anthology movie. This is the comics. So if you are like me, you've been waiting for a sequel to that movie for like 20 years at this point. There is actually a sequel to it. It is in comic form, and there are 4 all new stories in it. I haven't read all the way through these, but I am excited to. I will probably do a video on that one closer to Halloween. That would be a really fun idea. That'd be a very, very fun idea. I'm taking note to myself right now. That's probably what I'm going to do for a Halloween video. I'm going to wear a Cinderella costume too at the same time. It's going to be great. So I was talking about Fight Club earlier. Fight Club has 2 comics as well. There is Fight Club 2 and Fight Club 3. So Fight Club 2 is like kind of a continuation of the book, not the movie, just the book. It wasn't great. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. I personally don't think so. But Fight Club 3 wraps up one of my favorite duologies. It was supposed to be a trilogy. However, he really, really dropped the ball in the sequel. Chuck Palahniuk did. It wasn't bad. I thought, me personally, I loved it. But there's a book called Damned, which is, I have it down here, which is this one. And there's a book called Doomed, which I do not have a physical copy of. I read that one on Kindle as well. Hang on. Get this back in here. It's paperback and it's wanting to bend. There we go. So he wrote Damned. Damned leaves you on a cliffhanger, and then he wrote Doomed. Doomed could technically wrap up nicely, but it leaves you also on a cliffhanger. Well, he never got to actually truly end the series, so how he did it was he ended it in Fight Club 3, and I haven't gotten all the way through Fight Club 3 yet, but you immediately, if you've read Damned, you understand some of what's going on in there. So very, very cool. I was happy he at least did something with it. He didn't just, leave it to die. But yeah, so my shelf is like for the most part organized. We do need to get a second shelf because I have 2 boxes over there full of books that didn't get added. I'm going to be putting JD Chris books on there as well. This goes down here. This goes over here. This is not mine. I actually have to send this to somebody. I'll put it in the tote for now. Oh, this is also by the guy who I just spent 30 minutes ranting about. This is another Christopher Triana book. This I am not selling. This is just a personal copy. Have not read it yet. Don't know a whole lot about it, but it looks really, really good. Like the cover looks really, really, really good. But the synopsis is like they're in a small town and they have a tradition every year of like sending like a different teen girl every year to a labyrinth. It sounds really, really weird and just really good. I love small town horror. Small towns are just eerie, dude. I lived in one for a few years. It's eerie. Oh man. Well, we're at 58 minutes. I'm gonna wait for the hour mark, and I'm gonna probably go ahead and end this on here. I'm getting fucking hot over here. But yeah, this has been fun. Not as fun as TikTok, where people just kind of randomly show up. If this was like a YouTube short stream, it would be a little bit different, but I don't have 50 subscribers yet, so can't do it yet. Sadly, I want to, but oh well. Fun. Yep, this was different. This was certainly different, but excuse me, shout out to Keyblade Graveyard over on TikTok. He makes very good music. Shout out to Val. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Yeah, this was different, but it was also very fun. It was very fun. I'm out of fucking breath, dude. This bandana is hotter than that tie-dye one. The tie-dye one is really thin and I can breathe really easy in it. This one is not. I should have worn the tie-dye one over here in the corner where I already can't fucking breathe. Like, even without a mask. So, but anyway, to everyone who joined, thank you for joining. A lot of fun. There is a link to my store as well as my TikTok and the store's TikTok in the description below. So if you're watching this later, go click one of those. If you're watching it now, go click one of those. Check out what we got there. If you want to see what's actually on this shelf, because pretty much everything on this shelf is over on the store. But yeah, this has been Horrifically Obscure. I've been your host, The Thing. This was a great time. I will probably be doing this again some other time. Goodbye.